Worthless junk belongs in the garbage, my mother announced into the microphone, dangling the old faded ledger my grandmother had just secretly handed me. She didn't just mock it, she tossed the book straight into a bucket of melting ice and wine. As the crowd roared with laughter, I didn't scream. I plunged my hand into the freezing water, ruined my cocktail dress to save those wet pages, and walked out without looking back. Before I tell you the secret hiding inside those wet, ruined pages and how I used it to destroy my mother's fake empire, tell me in the comments, what is the cruelest thing a family member has ever done to you at a celebration? I'm reading every single story. 4 days later, I walked into the First Commerce Bank in downtown Chicago. The lobby was all granite and hushed whispers, a stark contrast to the chaos I had left behind in Lake Forest. I held the ledger in a plastic Ziploc bag. The pages were crinkled and stained with wine residue, looking exactly like the junk my mother said it was. I'm Natalie, and at 31, I've spent my life making myself invisible. As an emergency physician, I'm good at it. I know how to fade into the background while residents panic and patients code. I know how to hold secrets. But standing there in my secondhand blazer, waiting for the young teller to stop typing, I felt exposed. I need to check the balance on this, I said, sliding the bag across the polished counter. It was a gift. The teller, a girl no older than 22, picked it up with 2 fingers, her nose wrinkling slightly. She typed in the account number, probably expecting an error message or a balance of 0. Then she stopped. Her fingers hovered over the keys. She blinked, leaned closer to the screen, and the color drained from her face. "Ma'am," she whispered, her voice trembling, "please wait here. Do not leave." She didn't press a silent alarm, but she might as well have. Within seconds, the branch manager and a woman in a tailored suit, the regional director, were rushing toward me. They didn't look at my cheap blazer. They looked at me like I was royalty in exile. "Miss Harper," the director said, ushering me toward a heavy steel door in the back. "Please, we've been waiting for this account to be claimed for a very long time." They led me into a private viewing room that smelled of old paper and dust. As they went to retrieve the file, I sat in the leather chair and closed my eyes. And suddenly, I wasn't in a bank vault. I was 13 years old again, kneeling on the hardwood floor of my mother's study. Victoria sat in her armchair, swirling a glass of wine, watching me. She had spilled it on purpose. I knew she had, but the rule was simple. Girls clean, boys lead. Ethan was on the sofa laughing at a video game, his feet propped up on the table I had just polished. "You missed a spot, Natalie," Victoria said softly. She didn't yell. She preferred an audience for her cruelty. She liked to see the light go out in my eyes. It was her theater. When Grandma Margaret tried to help me up, Victoria's voice turned into a whip. "Touch that rag, old woman, and I'll put you in a state facility so fast you won't even have time to pack your medications." I scrubbed until my knuckles bled that day. I scrubbed because I believed I had no value outside of what I could endure. The heavy clank of the vault door brought me back. I opened my eyes. I wasn't that 13-year-old girl anymore. I was the woman holding the match. The director placed a thick file on the table. "Your grandmother didn't just open a savings account, Miss Harper. In 1984, she established a custodial trust. She was an early investor in IBM and Amazon. She funneled every dividend back into the portfolio, untouched for 38 years. She turned the document toward me. The current value of the trust, legally payable to you upon her death, is $13,800,000. The number sat there on the page, black and absolute. $13,800,000. I stared at it. I thought about the wine bucket. I thought about Victoria laughing into the microphone, calling this fortune junk. She had held $13 million in her hand and thrown it away because she was too arrogant to look inside the cover. "Is there anyone else listed on the account?" I asked, my voice calm, clinical. "No," the director said. "Just you. It's entirely yours." I touched the dried, ruined ledger. It wasn't just money, it was a weapon, and for the first time in my life, I knew exactly where to aim it. My husband, Daniel, didn't look up when I walked through the door. He was hunched over his laptop at the kitchen island, surrounded by a fortress of printed spreadsheets. The air in our small apartment felt electric, charged with the static of something about to break. "It's not an empire, Natalie," he said, finally turning the screen toward me. His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "It's a Ponzi scheme built on bridge loans and arrogance." I looked at the monitor. I expected to see wealth. I expected to see the millions Victoria bragged about at every charity gala and family dinner. Instead, I saw red. "She's insolvent," Daniel said, tapping a document. "The estate in Lake Forest? Foreclosure proceedings started 4 weeks ago. The family trust she claims to manage? It's empty. She's been moving the same $60,000 with 7 different shell accounts to make it look like she has liquidity. And here's the kicker. She's being audited. The IRS sent her a notice of deficiency 2 months ago." I stared at the numbers. The woman who threw my grandmother's legacy into a wine bucket wasn't a titan of industry. She was a drowning woman flailing in a sea of debt. She didn't just want money, she needed it to stay out of federal prison. My phone rang. It was her. I put it on speaker. Daniel stopped typing. "Natalie." Victoria's voice filled the kitchen. There was no hesitation, no apology, just the brash confidence of a woman who believed she still owned the world. "I've been thinking about that cabin your grandmother left you, the property." "What about it?" I asked. My hand rested on the table to steady the tremor, but my voice was ice. "I'm going to do you a favor," she said. "I've spoken to my real estate attorney. We can liquidate it quickly. I'll handle the sale, get you a fair market price, and invest the proceeds into the family business so you actually get a return. You're a physician, honey. You don't know the first thing about property taxes or maintenance. I'm trying to save you from a headache." She wanted the cabin. It was the only tangible thing Margaret had left me, besides the ledger. It was worth maybe $350,000, peanuts to a billionaire, but a lifeline to a desperate fraudster. "I'm not selling, Mom," I said. The line went silent. Then the mask slipped. "You listen to me, Natalie," she snarled, her voice dropping an octave. "That old woman was mentally incompetent when she signed that deed. I have witnesses ready to testify that you manipulated a senile geriatric into signing over family assets. If you don't sign that transfer paperwork by Monday, I will sue you for elder abuse. I will drag you through probate court until you're bankrupt. Do you understand me? You're out of your depth, Natalie." She wasn't protecting me, she was hunting for liquidity, any asset she could seize, sell, and funnel into her black hole of debt. "I understand perfectly," I said. "Good, I'll have the papers sent over." The line clicked dead. I looked at Daniel. He wasn't scared, he was smiling, a cold, sharp smile that matched the feeling rising in my chest. Victoria thought she was bullying a helpless daughter. She didn't know she had just handed her the blueprint to her own destruction. She was desperate, and desperate women make mistakes. I waited 36 hours before calling her back. Silence is a powerful amplifier. It lets the desperation breed. Daniel and I spent that day not in panic, but in preparation. We didn't hire a lawyer to fight the sale of the cabin. We hired a graphic designer to forge a portfolio of investment documents. When I finally dialed Victoria's number, I put on the performance of my life. I didn't summon the confident woman who had walked out of the bank vault. I summoned the 13-year-old girl terrified of spilling wine. "Mom," I whispered when she picked up. I let my voice tremble. "I'm sorry I hung up. I didn't know what to say." "You should be sorry," she snapped, but the edge was duller. She was listening. "It's not just the cabin," I said, pitching my voice to the perfect frequency of naive panic. "I went to the bank, the ledger. It wasn't empty." The line went dead silent. I could practically hear her doing the mental calculus. "How much?" she asked. The greed leaked through the phone like oil. 13 million, I choked out. 13 million. "But Mom, I don't know what to do." The bank manager started talking about capital gains taxes and federal audits, and I think I'm in trouble. If the IRS finds out I have this, they'll take half of it. I don't know how to hide it. It was the perfect bait. I handed her exactly what she believed about me, that I was weak, stupid, and incapable of handling power. And I handed her exactly what she needed, a massive injection of liquidity to cover her own crimes. "Listen to me very carefully, Natalie," she said. Her voice transformed instantly from bully to savior. It was chilling. Do not sign anything with the bank. Do not talk to any lawyers. You bring that paperwork to me. I can shelter it under the family trust. We can classify it as a pre-existing asset. It's complicated, but I can make the tax liability disappear. I'm doing this for you, sweetheart, to protect you. Protect me? She wanted to swallow the inheritance whole to plug the holes in her sinking ship. Can we do it tonight? I asked. No, she said too quickly. She needed time to prepare the fake transfer papers. I have the Woman of Excellence Gala on Sunday in Chicago. It's perfect. Bring the documents there. We'll sign everything in the executive suite before the speeches. I'll announce the expansion of the family fund. It'll look legitimate. She wanted the audience. She wanted the glory of announcing a $13 million windfall as her own business genius. Okay, I said. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for fixing this. That's what mothers are for, she said. I hung up. I looked at Daniel. The fear vanished from my face instantly. She took it, I said. Daniel nodded, already printing the documents we would actually present. They looked exactly like the standard transfer forms Victoria would expect. Same font, same headers, but the fine print wasn't a transfer of funds. It was an affidavit of sole liability. Victoria thought she was reeling in a clueless daughter. She didn't realize she had just invited the executioner to her own party. The Woman of Excellence Charity Gala was held in the Grand Ballroom of the Peninsula Chicago. Crystal chandeliers dripped light onto the shoulders of Chicago's elite. It was a room full of old money, political power, and, in my mother's case, desperate, clawing ambition. I arrived at 7:45 in the evening. I wasn't wearing the beige, sensible clothes Victoria preferred me in. I was wearing a structured navy dress that cost more than my car. I walked through the crowd, not around it. I saw Ethan near the bar, laughing too loudly, already 4 drinks deep. He didn't see me. He was too busy playing the role of the heir to a non-existent kingdom. Victoria was at the front of the room, flanked by 2 council members. She looked radiant. It was the glow of a woman who thought she had just pulled off the heist of the century. When she saw me approaching, her smile didn't waver, but her eyes narrowed. She excused herself and met me near the stage steps. "You're late," she hissed through her teeth, keeping her smile plastered on for the photographers. "Do you have it?" "I have it," I said. I held out the burgundy leather presentation folder. She snatched it from my hand. Her greed was a physical force, vibrating off her like heat. "Is it all there?" she asked. "The transfer authorizations, the power of attorney." "It's all there, Mom, just like you asked. It puts the entire $13 million under the control of the family trust. You just need to sign as the sole trustee to accept the assets." She opened the folder. She didn't read the clauses. She didn't check the definitions. She just saw the signature line. A smart woman would have asked why the document was titled Affidavit of Historical Management and Sole Liability. A smart woman would have wondered why the dates listed went back 22 years, linking her retroactively to every shell company listed in the appendix. But Victoria wasn't smart. She was arrogant. She believed so fully in her own dominance that she couldn't conceive of a world where I was the threat. She pulled a Mont Blanc pen from her purse. "You did the right thing, Natalie," she said, scribbling her signature with a flourish. "Finally." She handed the folder back to me, dismissive, already turning her attention to the podium. "Go find a seat in the back," she ordered. "I have an announcement to make." She bounded up the stairs to the stage. The room quieted. The spotlight hit her. I didn't retreat to the back. I moved to the side, photographed the signature page, and hit send. 4 miles away, Daniel received it, attached it to the whistleblower complaint we'd finalized days earlier, and uploaded it to the DOJ's secure portal. Moments later, Victoria took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced proudly, "tonight we launch a historic expansion of the Harper Family Foundation, a $13 million investment in this city's future." She was confessing in real time, in front of 600 witnesses. She claimed ownership of funds I had just tied to 2 decades of tax fraud. She thought she was unveiling her legacy. She was reading her own Miranda rights. My phone buzzed. Received. IRS confirmation code 87 beta. It's done. Victoria was still smiling when the 70-foot LED screen behind her flickered. The foundation logo vanished, replaced by a Department of Justice seal stamped with red letters. Federal Asset Seizure in Progress. Case 9154. Applause collapsed into silence. Victoria turned, confused rather than afraid, her mind rejecting a reality that didn't match her script. That was her fatal flaw. Not ignorance, but entitlement. She never believed someone she dismissed as insignificant could build a trap big enough to hold her. The ballroom doors burst open. 7 IRS CID agents swept down the aisle. "Victoria Harper," the lead agent ordered, "step away from the podium." Victoria clutched the mic. "Do you know who I am?" "We do," the agent replied. "You're the sole trustee who signed an affidavit accepting responsibility for 22 years of unreported offshore accounts." Victoria spun toward me. "She tricked me. My daughter." "Save it for the grand jury." Handcuffs snapped shut. Cameras flashed as she was led away, stripped of grandeur, reduced to a woman in a designer gown. I thought it was over. It wasn't. The executive door slammed. The lock clicked. Ethan stood there, sweating, red-faced, frantic. "You ruined everything," he hissed. "It was already ruined," I said. "The money never existed." He grabbed a serrated butter knife. This wasn't strategy anymore. It was raw instinct, the moment when the illusion of family collapses and desperation shows its teeth. Daniel stepped in front of me. "Open the door, Ethan." Ethan lunged. Daniel caught his wrist, twisted, and the wrist snapped. The knife skidded across marble. When agents forced the door open, my brother was sobbing, not from pain, but from irrelevance. That was 4 weeks ago. This morning, Lake Forest smells like pine and fresh coffee. I'm sitting on the porch of my cabin. Mine. I fixed the roof, cleared the overgrowth, made it a home. Victoria was denied bail. Her assets are frozen. Her empire liquidated. Ethan took a plea. No inheritance awaits him, only work. I burned the affidavit on the porch. I don't need it anymore. The IRS and DOJ already have everything that matters. This page was just the fear I used to carry. Daniel sits beside me. "The transfer trust is complete. It's all yours. What do you want to do with it?" I look at the forest. $13 million. "Nothing," I say. "Let it grow. I'm still a physician, still Natalie. The money isn't power, it's protection. Family isn't blood, it's who stands with you when the vault opens."